What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am doing my October wrap up. I know it's a little bit late in the month, but whatever, better late than never, right? Right. October was a pretty pathetic month for me. I only read 2 books and they were all towards the end, so I really did almost no reading in October. The 2 books that I did read are actually e-arcs that are going to be released in 2020. So let's talk a little bit about them. So the first e-arc that I read was What Kind of Girl by Alyssa Scheinmel. And I gave this book a 4 stars. Thank you to NetGalley and Source Books Fire for providing me with an early release copy. This book is going to be published, I think, February 4th. I think. Like I said, I gave this book a 4 stars. I wasn't entirely sure what to expect. The synopsis sold it as it sounded of more like a mystery to me, possibly. So we have the girlfriend who goes into the principal's office and reports that she has been physically abused by her boyfriend, and she has a bruise on her eye, and once like those words come out of her, it's just kind of like chaos, you know? And again, I thought it would be more of like a mystery type deal where it's like, oh, was it really, was it not? Like just more mysterious vibes, but it was definitely a much more serious book than I had anticipated. It deals with what happens once you report it. All the doubt, the skepticism from other people, the shame that the girlfriend feels. This book was told through multiple points of view in a way, and I don't want to say too much about the actual characters because there is this big aha moment that I think the author did amazingly well. I was a little confused at the beginning. I wasn't entirely sure like how everyone and everything fit in, but then at like the midway point, I think, or no, before the midway point, it just kind of all comes together and you're like, wow, I get that. Like I said, it deals with the aftermath of reporting abuse, and especially when it's someone who everyone adores and loves, and he's the popular guy, the golden boy, you know, like a golden boy on a fast track to a scholarship to, I think, Stanford, and it's like, are you really going to ruin his chances? And then also it did really well showing the victim's own doubt of, was it my fault? Is there something that I could have done to prevent it? If I would have said something differently, if I just would have been better. Like all of the doubts that the own victim is starting to doubt her own story. Is she truly an abuse victim? He didn't punch her. It was only twice and it was only a slap. And it's like all of these things, and you get to see the microaggressions of, yes, he didn't full out knock you out, but there were these microaggressions and it was abuse. So I really love the way that unfolded. I will advise there are some topics that can be difficult to read about. First of all, of course, dating violence, domestic abuse type. There are eating disorders, a kind of detailed cutting moments. So if you don't feel comfortable reading about that, I would avoid this book. Also, anxiety and OCD disorders are talked about, and the characters do experience the symptoms. I cannot speak from firsthand experience about the majority of those topics, but I do feel like it was done in a responsible, respectable way. They do talk about reaching out for help, getting therapy. So again, like I said, I can't tell you for certain if it was done in the appropriate way, but at least to me, it didn't raise any red flags. The character development was just great. The way that they start at the beginning of the book with all of the doubts, the shame, I just don't know how to describe it without giving too much away. But basically at the end, they're not perfect. It's not a happily ever after, but they're growing. They're learning to ask for help. They're learning to accept who they are and their trauma and what has happened to them, and I just think it was done so well, and I would Definitely recommend it if you are in the right mindset. Like I said, I think this book has a release date of February 4th or February 6th. I will double check that and leave it somewhere on the screen. The second book I read was We Used to Be Friends by Amy Spalding. This has a publication date of January 7th of 2020. I gave this book a 3.5 stars. Thank you to NetGalley and Amulet Books and Imprint of Abrams for allowing me to read this book early in exchange for an honest review. The premise was promising, the characters were okay, I just didn't connect with it as much as I would have like a 4-star book. So I loved the topic of it. Romantic relationships hurt, they suck, you know, but friendship breakups, oh, that's just a whole different kind of level of pain. And I don't think it is talked about nearly enough in YA or just books in general. But this book did that, and I loved it. There is some romance in this book, but it is not the driving force. It is not what we are focused on, so I really, really enjoyed it. This story is about two former best friends, Kat and James. We follow their respective sides of the story during their senior year as we try to discover what happened with this friendship. Like the title suggests, we were friends. They started off really strong. These are two people who were friends since kindergarten graduation, and at the start of senior year, they're strong, they're close, but then something happens, and towards the end of it, they're just not friends anymore. The story is told through alternating points of view between Kat and James, but they're done in different timeline orders, whereas Kat's point of view starts at the beginning of senior year and moves forward. James's starts at the end of senior year and moves backward. I will admit it was hard at times to keep track of where we were in relation to the other person's story, like where things fit, but that could just be my brain processes things slowly. As I was reading this, I so desperately wanted to find like the one thing that went wrong. Like, what was it that ended this friendship? And it really wasn't one thing. It was just a culmination of events, and it was hard to read about. You know, it was just sad that such a close friendship like that just ended. The ending was left kind of vague, so there's no like real resolution. There is a bit of hope, but it like basically it was left open-ended. In my opinion, I thought it was a great move, and definitely an aspect that I really enjoyed, the way they had James's point of view moving backwards and starting with Kat at the beginning of senior year, because I think it just made a stronger impression, because James had all this hope and all of these dreams for senior year to be great, and the fact that we end the book with that, with her hopes and dreams for senior year, knowing how things went bad for her, and she really had, I want to say she definitely had the tougher time. Kat still, it seems, managed to have a decent senior year. It wasn't fantastic. She was going through a lot of things. It was definitely rough, but I think James was just so much more hopeful for senior year, and it definitely did not go the way she wanted it to. If you're looking for a fast-paced adventure, this is not the book for you. This is definitely a slow-moving book. There's not a whole lot of like action thriller. It's more of like emotional highs and lows. So definitely don't pick this book up if you're looking for more drama, action-filled book. This is the book about a friendship that was supposed to last a lifetime, and it ended sooner than anyone expected. It's a book that tries to tell you that as much as you want things to stay the exact way they are right now, that's just, it's not reasonable. Things change, and it sucks, it hurts, but that's okay, and we just gotta deal with it. So I gave it a 3.5 stars. I did really enjoy it, but like I said, I wasn't left with like the lasting emotions that I would with a 4-star or 5-star books. That definitely makes all of the difference between my 4 and 5-star reads or 3 and 4-star reads. If I close that book and I'm thinking about it, and it like, I still feel like this gaping hole in my chest that's definitely leaning more towards a 4 and a 5 star. And with this book, it just didn't. Once I closed it, it was like, wow, move on to the next one. Like I said, you can find this book on shelves January 7th of 2020, and I would definitely recommend it. Those were all of the books that I read in the month of October. I definitely think I read very deep and emotional reads in the month of October. I was hoping to get to spooky season reads, but didn't go that way, and that's fine. I thoroughly enjoyed the books that I did read. I'm excited to pick them up in actual physical copies when they release. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Elle. I'm an emotional asshole, and I'll see you in next time's video.